All right, let's dive into some seriously cool folklore, huh? We're going deep into your article, The Incredible Creatures of Portuguese Folklore.
Oh, it's a good one.
And believe me, these aren't your run-of-the-mill mythical creatures, no way. We're talking about, like, horned terrors, right, lurking in the waters, and then you got a goat who just loves naughty children. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Talk about staying on your best behavior.
And that's what always gets me about folklore. It's like it's woven into the everyday, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's how people lived, the values, even their fears, it's all there.
So it's not just about, like, fantastical beasts and stuff, but what they tell us about the people, right? The ones who actually, told these stories.
Exactly, yeah. Like, take the Maria Danta, for instance. This creepy horn thing, right? Hangs out in the water just waiting to drag those disobedient kids down to the bottom. I guarantee that story made people think twice about going for a little swim.
Oh, for sure. Back then, wells, rivers, that was life or death stuff, right?
Right.
A little healthy fear probably kept a lot of kids safe instead of, well, a close encounter with a water demon.
Exactly. It wasn't just about, oh, listen to your parents. It was survival. Think about it. No indoor plumbing, right? Clean water, that was everything. And knowing the dangers, that was huge. The Maria Danta, it's like she represents those real dangers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's like those water spirits you see everywhere, right? The kappa in Japan or that bunyip in Australia, always lurking just below the surface, just waiting to grab anyone dumb enough to, like, disrespect the water. There's definitely a theme here, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's universal, you know?
Mhm.
It's about a relationship with nature,
Yeah.
especially those things we can't control, like the raw power of it. And these stories, they're a reminder nature deserves respect, sometimes a little fear. That's a powerful motivator.
Speaking of keeping people in line, this next one, I swear, this one was made for nightmares, It's the Cabra Cabriola, the child-eating goat. Seriously, what were they putting in the bedtime milk back then?
This one is interesting, right? Because it's folklore as a parenting tool.
Intense, though.
Intense, for sure. But the thing is, it's specific. Like Cabra Cabriola, it goes after the naughty kids. So it's not just about being afraid. It's about a whole moral code they're teaching,
So it's less, boo, the goat's gonna get ya, and more like, that goat's gonna judge your life choices. Talk about pressure, huh? But seriously, what does that tell us about, back then, their values?
It shows how important good behavior was, right? And what could happen if you, stepped out of line. Imagine a small town, everybody knows your business, right?
Yeah.
The Cabra Cabriola, it's like supernatural peer pressure enforcing all those unspoken rules.
Whoa, social pressure with, like, mythical consequences. Nobody wants to be that kid, right? But let's lighten the mood a little bit, shall we? This next one, the Pias, they're more like protectors than punishers, wouldn't you say? So what's the deal with these she-wolves?
Ah, the Pias. They're interesting because it's this duality you see a lot in folklore. They're described as these beautiful she-wolves, right? Connected to nature, they've got magic, they can heal, but they're fierce too. They protect what's theirs. If you threaten that, watch out.
So they're like nature itself then. Beautiful, but you don't want to mess with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that the natural world, it's awesome, stunning even, but you gotta respect it. The Pias, it's like that, like a wise grandmother, She teaches you about herbs one minute, then scolds you for stepping on her flowers the next.
Oh, I know that grandmother. But are there others like them in other cultures? This whole beautiful but don't cross them thing, it feels familiar, you know what I mean?
For sure. You have the Celtic green man, right? Life, death, rebirth, the whole deal. Often covered in leaves, very nature-y. And tons of indigenous cultures, they've got their forest spirits, guardians of the natural world, that kind of thing. The Pias, they fit right in, see?
It makes you wonder if these stories, they were how people explained nature, Because it can be unpredictable, even scary sometimes.
That's a good point. It's totally possible, right? A way to explain the world, put a face on those forces that were both amazing but also potentially dangerous.
Speaking of amazing and potentially dangerous, let's talk about the Zaccos. These rival creatures, man, they're all about making deals. And we've all seen enough fairy tales to know those rarely end well.
Yeah, you don't want to be messing with the Zaccos deals, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the ultimate temptation, that pull of the unknown, but then you get tricked. Folklore is full of stories about people trying to be smarter than these creatures. They want something too much. It never ends well. Always consequences you never even thought about.
It's that be careful what you wish for thing, but like times 1,000, right? And it all goes back to how much they depended on nature. What kind of deals are we talking about here? Give me an example.
Okay, so picture this. You're a fisherman, your catch has been terrible, right? Then boom, the Zaccos appears, offers you a net bursting with fish. but it'll cost you something.
Yeah.
Or a farmer, desperate for rain. The Zakos promises a huge harvest, but again, there's always a price. The details are always different, but the point is the same. People want more than they have, and they're willing to take risks to get it.
So it's not even really about magic, is it? It's about us. We get greedy or desperate, and that's when we make bad choices. These stories, they were like warnings, right?
Totally. Like, hey, those shortcuts, they often lead to a dead end, or worse.
No free lunch when magical river creatures are involved, I guess. But you know what is magical? This next one is my favorite, I have to say. The Horse of Thought. Okay, get this. A winged black horse. It represents imagination. How cool is that?
Right. It's such a powerful image, isn't it? The horse of thought is that feeling we all have, that desire to escape,
Right.
see what's possible, you know? It's like the core of storytelling itself. We can go anywhere, be anyone, just with our minds.
It's like mythical mind travel. But seriously, why do you think this one, out of all of them, why does it stick with people so much?
Because deep down, we all want more. Life can be routine, but the horse of thought, it reminds us that we can create. We've got that potential to imagine amazing things, to be creative, and that's exciting.
Totally. We all have that power, even if we forget sometimes. We should all take that horse for a ride more often.
I agree. Okay, from imagination, let's go to dreamland. Jumbastana, the bringer of sleep. Even sleep gets a folklore makeover. It's great.
Oh, tell me about it. As a parent, sometimes getting kids to sleep, it's like an Olympic sport. Maybe Joan Pastana needs to make a house call or two. But really, who is this figure and why is she important?
Well, think about it. So many cultures, they have a sleep character, right? Someone magical to explain that whole going to sleep thing. Like the Sandman, he's got his sand for dreams, right? It's that time between being awake and asleep when anything goes. Perfect for a story, don't you think?
Totally. Like when you're drifting off, you're not sure if you're dreaming or not yet. Yeah, you could easily imagine some creature coming along right then.
Exactly. And it shows how important sleep and dreaming that was for people all over the world, even bedtime. Something so ordinary, it becomes magical because of figures like Joan Pastana.
From lullabies to, okay, buckle up, this next one is intense. The Balberino. This whirlwind, you do not want to be on its bad side. What have we got?
The Balberino, it really shows how folklore, it's tied to a time and place, you know, what they cared about back then. This isn't just any whirlwind like the Maria Danta. This one, it goes after a specific kind of criminal.
Okay, so lay it on me. What'd you do to get the Balberino after you?
Think farming, stealing land, messing with crops, stealing animals, basically anything that messes with their livelihood. That's when you had to worry.
Makes sense. If farming was everything, then messing with that, that's serious business. So the Balberino, it kept everyone in line, huh?
Right. And the punishments were specific,
Yeah.
like steal some land.
Yeah.
The article mentions people would find their own property buried in rocks, thanks to the Balberino.
Oh, I'd be behaving real good, let me tell you. So what's the Balberino of today? Like a digital whirlwind that wipes out your bank account if you commit tax fraud?
Maybe. It's a good question, Ray. What are we afraid of now? What would our folklore look like today?
Something to think about. Okay, on to a more mysterious one. The old woman of the white mare. Who is she?
There's an intriguing one. Travels on a white horse, that's important. And she brings omens. But here's the thing. Are they good omens or bad ones? Nobody knows.
Ooh, I kind of like that. You never know what you're going to get. It's like life, right? Not always clear cut. Got to roll with the punches.
Exactly. Folklore, it lives in those gray areas, just like us. And that white horse, don't overlook that detail. White horses, they often mean something pure, noble, even supernatural.
So it's not just an old lady riding by. It means something bigger is happening.
Right. It's like saying, pay attention, something's about to go down. And the omens, it's that human thing. We always try to figure out what it all means, you know? Especially when things seem random.
Find the pattern in the chaos. Which brings us to our last creature of the day, and one I have to say I'm kind of fond of. The rooster of Barcelos. It's iconic. I even have, like, a little rooster of Barcelos, you know? I picked it up on a trip to Portugal. It's on my desk right now.
It's like the souvenir, right?
Totally. But honestly, I didn't know the whole story, not until I read your article.
Yeah.
So spill the beans. What's the deal with this rooster?
Okay, so at its heart, it's about justice, like winning against all odds. There's this pilgrim, totally innocent, but he gets framed, right? And they're about to hang him, but then...
But then the rooster steps in.
Well, there's a roasted rooster involved, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing, trust me. Point is, something miraculous happens, and the guy's innocence is proven. all thanks to this rooster.
So that's why it's such a big deal. Hope, right, truth coming to light, all that good stuff.
Exactly. No matter how bad things look, there's always a chance for things to work out. And the fact that it's a rooster, I mean, those are everywhere. They're ordinary, so it makes the story even stronger, don't you think?
It's kind of amazing when you think about it. We started with these, like, scary water creatures, and now we've got a rooster saving the day.
That's folklore for you. What starts as a simple story, it becomes something much bigger, says something about us, about what matters.
It's been a wild ride, that's for sure. From the Maria Danta trying to scare kids into behaving, all the way to the horse of thought, just pure imagination taking flight. And we talked about nature and beliefs and how people tried to explain the world around them.
It makes you think, though, doesn't it? If our world keeps changing so fast, what will our stories be about now? What creatures will we come up with? What will they represent?
That's a great question, and something for all of us to think about, right? Because these stories, they're not just ancient history, they're still relevant. They show us something about ourselves.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe there's a new folklore creature being born right now, one that reflects our world today.
Ooh, chills. Well, listeners, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Portuguese folklore. But, like we were just saying, there are so many more stories out there. So get out there, do some exploring, and who knows what incredible creatures you'll find.